This is BlissVille, Misadventures in BlissVille. I'm David Lawler. This is a kind of a secret, special, surprise, impromptu episode, I guess, because Colin's over here right now. We just finished watching the Super Bowl. What did you think of the outcome? I know I was disappointed. How did you feel? I mean, we don't have any allegiance in these teams, right? They're not New York teams. They're not Philadelphia. There's nothing about it that's, that special.
You know, to be honest with you, Lawler, I don't really keep up with sports that much in general. Not football, not baseball, basketball, soccer, tennis.
But you do feel the fever sometimes. It's getting close. It's getting panicky. I see you. You sweat a little bit. You're like, come on.
Well, what I got annoyed and offended was it seems like regardless to, even though I don't really keep up with the sport, but when I decide to root for a team, I habitually notice that usually the team I root for, regardless to the sport or what year it happens to be, if it's in a championship playoff, they often seem to more lose than win. And that definitely happened to me again this night. I feel like every time I vote for someone, if I root for a team too hard, it probably won't win. And it almost seems like sort of a jinx. This is a classic example of it.
It was a tight game, though.
Yeah, it was a tight game, but it ended up being tight in favor of the opposing team, the one that I did not root for.
Probably the first time in years we saw an overwhelming tightness about the two teams. It wasn't like it was a complete
There was no
murder
shutout.
like it was
no.
last year.
Nobody was slaughtered. It was a back and forth thing.
And there could be some argument as to the claims of New England cheating or something like that, whether they're deflating balls or, videotaping other people's practice so they can get ideas, but still.
I would call that doing your homework. I don't think that qualifies as cheating. If you are just studying your enemy or opponent or competition or so what have you,
that's
not cheating.
Point of view, but I'm pretty sure there are probably lots of New York fans that would disagree with you on that one. New York, they hate New England.
So be it. Boston and New York.
I have a friend who is a kind of a Patriot fan, but she's more of a Patriot fan in law because she's from New York, but she married a man who was from Boston, so he is a New England Patriot fan. So therefore, she adopted his team, which is traitorous. So I'll grant you, but I love her. She's a great friend. So
yeah,
this was the most bizarre show that I think I've seen in a long time. And a friend of ours, Tom Chow, wrote something very funny that it looked like basically a 10-year-old's birthday party. We have dancing beach balls. We have dancing sharks. She's suspended very high up above the crowd, and I'm hoping that she'll fall to her horrible bloody death, and they have to play with her like maybe her head or her brain or something like that. But that's just my wish. That's just the way I am. That's how I see that. What did you think of Katy Perry?
Wow, how very post-holiday spirit and Happy New Year of you to wish that on someone.
Very happy New Year.
A
very headless New Year.
I won't agree with this sentiment. I don't want to own that. I don't really have anything against the person. I just, I'll admit the halftime display of the Super Bowl this year I thought it was very energetic and cute, but definitely a bit somewhat cartoonish and very It was something that does not reflect the age of the crowd watching the game, not only the live audience within the stadium, but most of the people watching the Super Bowl on TV and all the satellite and all.
Right.
I'm thinking most of us who were watching that, it was cute, spirited, energetic. And I'm not really a fan of this person, but at the same time, I'm not really a person who's
You can't deny her existence. You cannot ignore her.
Oh, no, I don't.
She will go out of her way to not be ignored because she's, a woman in this and an entertainer in this new time and age. So, but the thing is, it's just everywhere. I mean, everybody is exposed to this kind of stuff. You get Facebook and Twitter and all that. It's in your face. It's a lot. There seems to be a lot less that celebrities, entertainers have to do to get exposure these days because it's everywhere. It's complete. It's not. There's no grassroots. There's no swell of enthusiasm for people where word of mouth creates buzz, and then people go and find out about this person. Now it's like instant buzz, instant word of mouth. Everything is done that way, and Katy Perry is certainly one of those people who takes advantage of it.
Well,
remember how hard Michael Jackson had to work? He was a child star, a child dancer. He was with the Jackson 5. He had to build up this enormous career, which came to an enormous head with like Thriller, Off the Wall, that kind of stuff. Bad. He had to work extremely hard to get out there and to be seen and noticed. And all Katy Perry has to do is just sort of, hit a button on a cell phone and take a topless photo of herself or something, and she's got immediate attention.
Yeah, well, it's like I've always told you, Josh, life is never perfect. I don't care how good it may get, regardless of how good it may be, and it's rarely even fair. Fair is something I would settle for. I'm never expecting perfect, but life is really, a lot of times, not even fair, nevertheless perfect. So what you have now is in our modern technology, people are getting claims to fame now that many... Not too long ago,
and they're doing like outlandish things to get that fame.
Yeah, well, a couple of
it doesn't even have to do with what they do. Like a sex tape, someone will put out a sex tape.
Well, actually, that is what they do. At one time, what they're doing now, you had not better been anywhere seen near doing. People's families, there would be churches, the government might even take some
reputations would be on the line. It would destroy people. But
right.
Now it doesn't.
But people would destroy you if you do what you do. If you thought you were going to... But you have to remember the kind of world we live in now. It's a sign of the times. And it's I said...
I'm reminded of a letter. An anonymous letter was sent to none other than Martin Luther King. And it was attributed to the FBI. They basically said... They advised Martin Luther King to commit suicide because he was living a lie. And his lie was that apparently... he's like a respected minister and a family man and a father, but he liked the ladies. And they were basically saying, if you don't kill yourself or end your parade of civil rights, we will basically expose you to the public as a pederast and somebody who... Oh,
he was blackmailed before he was murdered. This is what you're telling me?
Well, yeah, but he ignored it. He ignored it like you should, because it's silly.
Well,
so
yeah, he was.
People are less than perfect, but Martin Luther King never really put forth the image that he was perfect.
I don't think he ever tried to say he was stainless. However, regardless to what people thought of him, his thing was this: he knew that they were gonna, if he didn't die on his own, that somebody would probably take him out, and that's exactly what happened. They were gonna kill him regardless to, rather he was really a white sheep or a black sheep, but the fact that he was doing what he was doing...
the thing is, I really should not compare people like Martin Luther King with people like Katy Perry or something like that. But the thing is, I think I
understood where you're going with that.
I think what I was driving at is that people are less embarrassed, I guess, about the things they do these days than they would have been embarrassed, like, say, 40, 50 years ago.
Well, that's where you made a good point. I mean, they're from two completely different walks of life. That Katy Perry will not make her... She will not make history the way Martin Luther King did. However,
no, she certainly won't.
However, we all do.
I mean, we all laughed. We were looking at this laughing. We were like, oh my God.
And she'll also be a lot richer than Martin Luther King ever was, which is not something that I embrace very dearly. However, Martin Luther King was not in his cause for riches. He was not doing it for show business. Katy Perry, I guess she should make her money because if she has any half talent. I don't agree or disagree. I don't know. I don't really even watch this woman. I have nothing against her. I'm just not very familiar with her. So I'm not pro Katy Perry or con Katy. I'm not for her or against her. I'm kind of just really very unfamiliar. But she seemed okay to me. But I don't keep up with a lot of celebrities these days. I'm at a stage at 43 years old in my life where I kind of really would like to be my own celebrity. Not unto the world or society in general, but just unto myself. I kind of want to be a fan of my own accomplishments and achievements in life.
Right.
It would be nice to maybe go see a show with certain actresses and singers and all this stuff. That's nice, actors and, whoever, sports people. But I don't worship or bow to them. I'll just acknowledge them from a distance, and have my fun. But ultimately, I'm looking to get my life in a way that I'm pretty much... kind of like
I'm waiting for her to take her top off finally because I need to see those gems that she's been hiding under her shirt. Because the lady's got a nice body. She's very voluptuous. I'll give her that. She's got a pretty face. It's not prettiest in the world that I've seen, but,
Well, all of that does
Also,
help.
what was up with Lenny Kravitz? Come on. Like 50 seconds he was up there playing a guitar or acting like he was playing a guitar because the whole thing seemed crazy lip-synced.
Well, that goes along, David, like what you mentioned when you said people don't really have to do as much now to be in show business, especially if you become a little known. He was there to basically just accentuate her. He was up there faking the funk is what I would call it.
Faking the funk.
Yeah, he wasn't really, he didn't really have to do much, but he didn't need to do much because he wasn't on the camera that long either. He had a little airtime, but he was
just like basically having sex with his guitar.
Well, maybe we should say I get tongue tied here. We should say impersonation of someone having sex with his guitar, maybe, but
impression.
Right, there you go. Some sort of false imagery.
So, which leads me into the main subject, I guess, of
he was there to accentuate
this is
her
one thing
her
that
image.
I wanted to talk to you about for a time. You go to these television shows that are being taped, talk shows.
I don't proudly admit it, but yeah, every so often it's something I do.
Go a lot,
as I have a lot more time to kill than what I should.
In the video that we posted with your action figure, you're wearing a Bill Cunningham shirt. So,
yes, you did mention that.
Yes,
of course.
So, what I wanted to ask about was what are your most recent show? You called me up and your cell phone went dead. And I was asking you about it. Where were you? Steve Wilkos? Was that it?
I forgot, Dave. I see these shows, and it's not something that I take really very seriously. As I'm probably not really supposed to say it, but rah, what the hell? I don't care. It's not top secret. I think most people, at least a certain sector of the population, at least halfway, believes that this stuff is rigged up. Maybe there's an element of truth to some of this stuff.
What do you mean it's rigged? What do you
this man cheated on her, or this woman cheated on him.
Okay, I know what
whose
you're getting
baby
at.
is it?
I know exactly what you're getting at.
Come on,
it might be rigged in a kind of production sense that they set up a situation and the people that they invite as guests are well aware that they're kind of being set up in this situation. Is that what you're saying?
That amongst many other things, that would be part of it, but I'm not sure, to the validity of the stories. I don't know if they completely...
You mean you think the stories might be a little bit embellished for effect?
I hope they're not overly dramatized and exaggerated, but I do wonder if they are, like you said, embellished. There might be
what? Give me an example of something that you saw that said, wait a minute, this seems a little too ridiculous.
Well, for someone to... I've seen weird shows where someone found out that one of their parents wasn't really one of their blood parents while they were in prison. Then they come out and they want to look for the real parent. And I guess that could happen in real life. And these are one of those unusually.
That could. Because
I got to admit, you don't see that on every show. And you want to
look, you have my life to go on here. I've told you. I have no idea who my father is. My mother tends to make up stories. So her reputation is not particularly reliable when it comes.
Unfortunately, you would be one of the people that I could say I've met in real life.
I'm right here. I'm living proof.
Yeah.
I could fill out an entire hour on Steve Wilkos.
I don't know my father personally, just as you do. The only difference is I've actually seen him, and I saw a picture of my father.
And a picture,
but I never got to know him.
Way more than I do.
I don't even know if the man is a.
My father might as well have been fucking Darth Vader for all we know.
That's the difference between me and you. But like you, the only difference is I'm more familiar with my father in terms of I can identify him as a face and a person. However, in terms of knowing my father, I'm no better than with you. The only thing is I've seen my father on a picture frame in marriage and holding me when I was a baby next to my mother. I don't even know if I even have those pictures right now.
There's an old saying, you only know who your father is because your mama told you.
Yeah, there you go.
that's
to
an old
say that
saying.
Right, to say that I knew him personally would definitely be. I don't know if I would call that a big black. Well, it would be a big black lie. I don't know my father personally. If I didn't see him in a picture,
but it does exist, and you're talking about that situation, like when these people come on the show, and then they have their kind of exaggerated stories. That's not terribly ridiculous. I mean,
no.
What else? I mean, you know what I picture? Like somebody
it's too many
involved
people
in an
at
illicit.
One time, though.
If someone is involved in an illicit love affair and they find out that it's their long lost brother, something like that, something weird and sensationalistic tawdry, incestuous crap.
I don't know how many people would believe it. If it's something that could be proven to be true, or at least the audience is at least halfway convinced, it could happen, but it seems to be too lightning strike, weird coincidence. It's not impossible, but you're not supposed to see that on too many shows because in real life,
that's disgusting. It makes you want to.
It's disgusting, but it's also like it's so rare that it's not realistic. You can't keep having shows like that unless you can absolutely establish beyond
if you're the producer of the show,
reasonable.
You're like,
unless you're just
we've got this guy this week, and we've got another guy this, and you have to escalate. You have to get weirder and sicker every week,
and you can't have the same exact cases. There has to be at least some sort of variety or some sort of a twist that's different from like your show before that. You can't keep having the same thing over. Otherwise, people are going to get suspicious.
So I asked you before,
and it becomes not special.
Before your phone cut off, I was asking you about the show you had just gone to, the most recent taping, and you were about to tell me like some stuff, and then your phone went dead. So what was it?
Unfortunately, my memory went dead on it too. It's because I said I wish I could have told you at the time, but I it's just something that doesn't sink in with me because it varies so much. My memory's not real sharp. See, if I watched the shows, in fact, a couple of my neighbors told me that they saw me on a couple of shows recently.
In the audience at a taping.
Yeah, someone told me they actually saw me on Steve Wilkos. I've gone to Bill Cunningham. I've gone to Jerry Springer.
I bet you
I
there's
think
a
someone
website
saw me
out
on
there
Maury
that has
Povich
pictures.
and all this, so
Because I'm sure that you go with other people that you've recognized from other audiences, right? You guys just sort of go.
I'm with Ari most of the time,
right,
my friend Ari Sloan. But if I'm not with him, I used to go with my very good friend. I consider him like a relative, Demetrius Archer. But he doesn't have time for that now. He's the one who got me started. Then it picked up with Ari Sloan. I was going with him.
Right, but my question is, have you ever recognized anybody in certain groups? Like, have you ever seen familiar faces? Not people that you know.
I recognize people who I've seen at another show.
I've seen you at Steve Wilkos.
That's happened a few times.
These
are people that probably go more regular.
So this is like a group of people. There's a group of people.
Either they work at night, or they were off that day, or they are not working like myself. I'm not employed right now.
And they bus you in, basically, right?
Yeah, shuttle bus.
So you get and you don't have to pay for it.
That's when you're leaving New York City. Bill Cunningham is in New York, but the other three I mentioned are in Connecticut.
Right. So you take a bus up to Connecticut with a bunch of these people, and you guys are the audience of this show. And is it
that's correct?
Is it just one show, or do you do several shows in an afternoon or something?
It could be 1, 2, or 3. It depends on how long they need you for, And then I've had times when I'm doing 1 or 2 shows.
Did they give you any lunch or?
Yeah, they give us a few cheap concessions. We don't get too much to drink. Maybe once in a while they'll.
Do you have to sign any kind of a contract should you appear because your image will appear on television or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I don't even remember what the darn contract. I don't think I've ever read it all the way through. They just wanted you to not sue in case.
It's a likeness contract. Likeness.
Yeah, make sure that you don't have a problem with us filming you on television because you could be seen on TV.
And you told me one time that you actually stood up and asked a question for the microphone.
Happened a couple of times. But the problem is it's not guaranteed it'll make the segment because they may decide to edit it out for some reason, or they may decide to keep it, and then you don't really know when this show is going to air unless they give you a specific date,
So have you ever caught yourself on TV? Or have you caught a show that you've taped?
I don't watch these shows regularly.
You don't watch the show on TV?
That's the interesting thing.
So you're on the audience. You're in the audience.
I'm on the audience. I guess I'll wait for other people to tell me they might have seen me. Otherwise, I'd let it.
Colin, I saw you on the thing.
I'm more likely to go to the show live than to watch it on TV. It's more interesting because I'm getting out the house and I have something to do with my time. Watching it on TV, it doesn't have that. Even if I know I might be in the audience, it seems like it's already over and done with. If I see myself on TV, I'm glad when somebody else comes along and tells me, "Hey, I saw you on the so and so show the other day."
So
that's what it means. Something for me to just see myself on there, it doesn't mean anything. I'm okay. That's
so they
nice.
put you in the audience, right? You're sitting there in the audience. How good of a view do you have of the stage that you can see the action and everything?
Well, most of the time, pretty good. But every once in a while, something annoying will happen where there's a camera or a person directly in my viewpoint, and I do get irritated. It doesn't happen a lot. Most of the time, I don't go through it. And then sometimes the audience just might be in my way, depending on where I'm standing. Someone stands up, and then I have to stand, but I didn't feel like getting up, and I had to get up because the audience stood up, and now I got to
Right.
stood up, so I'm going to miss something, So I've been through all of that. For the most part, I can see pretty straight.
So what do you think your favorite show is to go to?
My favorite talk show host might be the one that I have the most access to. It might not be so much of a personal thing. Somebody like, whichever one could let me get on their show more often than somebody else, that'll be my favorite one, knowing my silly self.
So who would that
I'll
be?
pick the one that I was able to get to more than anybody else.
Who would that be then?
Bill Cunningham is right in New York City. I don't have to travel as far.
Easy to get to.
However, I like to go to the different ones. I don't want to keep showing up on the same one all the time, as I like just about any of them. I have to be in the mood too. This is not something that I'm going to live my life around and do every week. When I do them enough, I'll stop for a while, and then when I get in the mood, I'll pick it up. Now, usually when that happens, I'll want to go to those 4, because there's 4 of them that I go to, 3 of them in Connecticut and 1 in New York. And I usually want to like kind of mix it up and go to all of them, and then before I stop again. And when I stop again, I want to be able to say I patronized all 4.
Cool.
But I don't think I have any specific favorites, just whoever I can get to at the time and have my fun for that day. And half the time, I don't even remember that much what happened after I left. It wasn't a big deal. It's interesting and a big deal. These stories are real. I'm not trying to trivialize anybody's life or whatever happened in these examples. A lot of kind of I'm hearing and seeing people experience things that I'm glad this is not my life. If this stuff actually happens to be real, which I'm a little skeptical of, I'm
sort
glad
of makes
it's
you
not
feel
my
good
life.
about your own life to watch somebody else. They give you these stories about their life, and you're like, my God, I thought my life was
it makes
screwed
my
up, and here I am
problem.
listening
It makes
to
my
these
problems
people.
look a little bit less. But however, it realistically, while my problems are not interesting enough necessarily to maybe discuss on television, they're still very real and they're depressing. And I could say misery likes company, but I don't get my rocks off of. I kind of feel sorry for people who are in some of these situations, but at the same time, what makes me suspicious is, are these people really suffering as much as what they would have you think on camera?
Now this
is why I'm not sure about the validity of some of these.
You inferred this earlier, that sometimes it seems like perhaps they're over dramatizing their problems. They're being big. They're being big in front of an audience, overacting, maybe a little melodramatic about it, talking about their problems, and it just sounds bigger than it might actually be. And the reason they're big is because they're on TV. They want to be on TV. They want to make it big for the audience.
I mean, I hate to say this, but if there are rumors about the 9/11 terrorist attacks not even being all that legitimate. Like they say, our government like was in on it and they planned that in advance. So if we could have lies like that circulating, Dave, I don't know if I trust a whole lot of what I see on TV. So this is where I'm coming from. It's not like I want to accuse anybody on an individual level of anything. Some people are not inherently liars, but the business. It's not called show business for no reason.
Yeah,
I want to make that clear now. There's a reason when something's called show business does not necessarily mean true. Show business can have truth to it, but there's a lot of false imagery in show business too. Show business does not mean lie or truth. It means display.
Yeah.
And it doesn't guarantee whether it's truth or deceit. It just means you're being showed something rather if it's real or not. So if we have that in show business, there's also a lot of things that are exposed to the naked eye that are not what it appears to be. There's more to it than what meets the eye.
So you're saying that, if there can be big lies, there can be little lies too.
Yeah.
And
the best way to lie, that's rather be a big or a small lie. The most effective lie is a lie mixed with some truth in it.
Yeah.
That would be Satan's way against God.
That's from The Exorcist. The devil is a liar, but he will mix lies with the truth.
There you go. and that is
I don't really believe in that myself, but I do believe that whatever evil exists is human manufactured. It isn't manufactured by deities or gods or demons. I think it's really just us. I think we're the ones who
rather it be
do it all.
Humans or an evil force. I do believe, though, that the most effective lie is to mix it with truth. So this way it shows to be less of a lie. And a lot of times, unfortunately, a lie may become more like the truth. There are even some lies that might even be considered good lies, if there is such a thing. I don't know.
Little lies, little white lies. That's what they call them. So can you give me a specific example of something that you thought was just complete bullshit?
I wish I could, but I'm so airheaded with these things. It's like the whole business in general. I mean, okay, well, here's a small example, but this is something that really bothers me because I see it happening like too much. And that's another thing. It's not just the stories themselves. It's also the amount of people that I see doing it. And that does water it down a lot. It makes me like, how many people are stupid enough to fall for some of this mess that you see?
True.
How many people are stupid enough to embarrass themselves? And even worse, how many people are stupid enough, if this is real, why is it that you keep getting caught when you've seen people for decades on this same show getting caught in the same stuff that you got caught, the same SHIT?
Okay.
I see men that are with supposedly a woman, and this is a female impersonator, but a lot
it's
of
actually
times,
a man.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're telling me that the majority of the stuff that you see on these shows is a lot of transgender, transsexual stuff? I didn't know my boyfriend was a girl. I didn't know my girlfriend was a boy.
Oh, no, I'm not going to say the majority. I just say that's a very common scenario. There are so many things. The most of what I see is that someone cheated on somebody else, and I want to know how many women or how many men have you. Another shocking thing is it's a bit kind of like you wonder how, like, I know what happens in life, but what bothers me is how many people are getting on TV. Most people don't want to talk about it on the air.
Yeah, I know.
That's another thing that makes
They
it
get
phony. It happens in real life, but the problem is most of these people, the real people, don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's what makes me suspicious.
This would be
this stuff,
something
too.
I would be embarrassed about. I wouldn't want to share.
Talk about they people that my mother slept with my boyfriend and my sister's boyfriend. What the hell?
Come out of here.
On, but you have stuff like that on these shows, though.
Okay,
and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but in real life, most people are not thinking about putting this. You
but
would
a
think
lot
that
of
they get
people
that from
will
real
take,
people, and then
take
they have
money
false
over
people.
their own humility. They'll take money. They give them money to appear on these shows, and basically they're entertainment. That's what they're there for.
But then the other element is then there are people who are willing to embarrass themselves when it's not even the truth, but they would be paid money to lie to the public.
Yeah, well,
or maybe
again,
some of it is
these are
true,
deeply
but certain
disturbed
elements.
people.
Well, it's deeply
but we
disturbing
put them on
rather
TV
than it's a lie, not as bad all the way
because
around.
the most deeply disturbed people in the world, you'll often find, are the most entertaining. And that is BlissVille tonight. I want to thank Colin. This has been really great. I love this subject because I love how we go on in debates. He's a great orator.
Just the season to be jolly.
I'm a fair orator myself. I want to thank Colin. And, once again, we tried out our new mics today, and they sound great because I'm looking at the view meters here, and they just sound wonderful. So,
excellent performance, I guess.
This was BlissVille. I'm David Lawler. And screw you, New England Patriots. Bye-bye.
Good night.